Happy Monday, everyone, or whatever day it is you're watching this video. We're going to try to go over today chapter number 4 in your Barber textbook, chapter number 5 if you're a cosmetologist. It's the same information. And before I go any further than that, I want to point out that chapter number 4 or 5, depending upon which it is, Barber or cosmetology, is the most heavily tested chapter in every state. Some states have 60 questions on the test, some have 110. But what they all have in common is this: 25% of the questions, in other words, 1 out of every 4 questions on your test, is coming out of the infection control chapter. In this version of the book, it is chapter number 4. Okay? You will be hard put to pass the test if you miss 25% of the questions. That leaves you a 0 margin for error. It means you must get every other question correct. And realistically, that's not going to happen. It doesn't matter how well you know a subject. We all make silly mistakes, or we skip a question, or we put B, we meant to put D. You can't leave yourself 0 margin for error. You have to know the information on infection control. 2 other chapters you have to know, and barbers notoriously don't know it, is chapter 17, chemical services, and chapter 18, hair coloring. If I had $1 for every time a barber student told me I'm not going to do permanent waves and hair color, I would have a lot of dollars. But it doesn't matter whether you want to do it or not. It's on your test. 3 chapters, 4, 17, and 18. Infection control, chemical services, hair coloring are 50% of the questions on your test. And there is no state in the country that will give you a license if you miss half the questions on the test. Okay, so we're going to start with everyone's least favorite chapter, chapter 4, infection control. It begins in my book on page 56. Now, I don't think we can get through it all today. In fact, I'm sure we can't in this short video. We try to keep them under 10 minutes. So there may be 2 or 3 to go with this. Do yourselves a big favor and watch them. You cannot pass your test without this information. Beginning on page 56, it talks about a subject called decontamination. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't bother to give you that name in your book. It does if you're a cosmetologist. It tells you it's called decontamination. For barbers, you'll just have to trust me on this. The subject is called decontamination. There are 4 levels, 2 of which you must know to answer the 8 to 10 questions on your exam. The first and lowest level is called cleaning. Cleaning is a physical process. The book says a mechanical process, and it gives the example washing your hands with soap and water. Cleaning, a mechanical process. Now, the State Board exam likes to ask this question: what level of decontamination must a barber student or barber practice on himself or herself before and after a client? Now, most of us would guess wash your hands. When you go in public restaurants, in the bathroom it says employees must wash their hands. So they're never going to give you that as an option, wash your hands, because everyone would say that, even if we don't really do it in real life, and many people don't. They're going to ask you cleaning, sanitation, disinfection, or sterilization. What level must a barber practice? And the answer is cleaning. You must wash your hands before and after every client. And don't lose track of the fact the State Board exam has about 0 connection to real life. I don't believe for one moment that anybody does this before and after. You would cut my hair, wash your hands. Then the next customer sits down, you would wash your hands again? Of course not. No one is really doing this. But on the test, you must wash your hands before and after every client. And that is called cleaning. Okay? The second level of decontamination is called sanitation. This is a chemical process. You could think Windex. Okay? It is not very heavily tested. The third level, which is extremely heavily tested, is called disinfection. Disinfection is a chemical process to kill all bacteria except bacterial spores. The spores are, in effect, the eggs of the bacteria. Disinfection will not kill the bacterial spores. Finally, there's sterilization, another level which you are not required to do and most likely will not be tested on. But just in the event you are that unlucky person that is, let's talk about sterilization for a second. Sterilization uses heat. It will kill everything, including bacterial spores. The only people required to sterilize their tools are those people who intentionally break your skin. When the nurse gives you a shot, when the tattoo artist gives you a tattoo, when the dentist pulls out your tooth, these people intend to break your skin. I mean, that's how it works. They have to practice sterilization. So does the doctor before surgery. They bake their knives in an oven called an autoclave, A-U-T-O-C-L-A-V-E. It is in your book, therefore it could be on the test. An autoclave gets to 700 degrees and bakes the implements to sterilize them. If there's a sterilization question on your test, it'll be about the autoclave. But 90% of the questions you're going to have are going to go to cleaning and disinfecting. The book says repeatedly in at least 5 chapters, you must clean and disinfect before and after every service. Okay? Now, this is a lot of information for most people. It isn't taught in barber school. For sure, if you took the apprenticeship course, and I'm not knocking the apprentice program, like everything in life, it has good and bad. It's great in that after 2 years in the barber shop, you really will know how to cut hair. Unfortunately, you won't know how to pass the test. On the other side, there's a year of school. You're more prepared for the test, but you don't know how to really do anything because the teachers don't teach you anything. So both ways have their good and bad. I'm here just to help you through the written theory part of your test. I'm going to try to spoon feed you all the questions on the exam. If you don't believe it, everything I say is in your textbook. Just find the page. And we're going to move in for the next couple of minutes to 4 government agencies. There are hundreds of government agencies. There's only 4 you'll be required to know, but you will be required to know them. The first is OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. OSHA exists for one thing alone: employee protection. For those who speak English as a second or third language, sometimes they substitute the word workers for employees. Employees or workers, the same thing. OSHA exists to protect you in the workplace. Now, OSHA requires a thing called a safety data sheet, an SDS. It was previously called a material safety data sheet, MSDS, and I'm actually amazed that teachers still call me about it, given that the book tells you it hasn't been called a material safety data sheet since 1995, before many of you were even born. It is the safety data sheet. It comes from the manufacturer and tells you, the employee, what the manufacturer knows about their product, including such things as handling instructions, disposal instructions, poison control, storage. You've all seen these things to one degree or another. You've seen things that say, do not pour down the drain, such as motor oil for cars. If it gets in your eyes, some say flush with water, some say go to the emergency room. The safety data sheet. It tells you what the manufacturer knows about their product. Storage, handling, disposal, poison control. If you know those 2 things, you can answer the guaranteed 2 or 3 OSHA questions. Next agency is the EPA. This is a gimme. The Environmental Protection Agency. They are in charge of disinfectants. Now, page 60 in your textbook talks about a thing called quaternary ammonium compounds, also known as quats. This is the principal ingredient in barbicide. Aha, a big smile. We all know barbicide. Barbicide is a brand, much like saying Ford or Toyota. It tells you really very little about the specific vehicle. Barbicide is a brand name. It has competitors. If you look in the barbicide, the ingredient is quaternary ammonium compounds. The second one we deal with is called sodium hypochlorite, better known as household bleach. Go into your grocery store, go into the cleaning aisle, look at the bleach, and it says sodium hypochlorite. It never says on your test barbicide or bleach. It says quaternary ammonium compounds or sodium hypochlorite. Okay? These are the 2 things the FDA is in charge of. Now we're going to cut it here. It's getting a little windy. Okay? Give us a call if you have any questions, 760-534-4434. Visit our website, cosmetologystateboardexam.com. We do barbers and estheticians and nail technicians as well, not just cosmetology. And we do private tutoring. It's a guaranteed pass on your test. Give us a call to find more information, 760-534-4434. And please tune in for the next 2 videos finishing up this chapter. Thank you and see you soon.